Good morning. Welcome to another live film Rashad's YouTube channel. Let's get to the Word of God. Free request file. Chapter 22, Second Savior, the way of life. Include the study about the creation. So we're going to get to chapter 22, Second Samuel. David sang to the Lord the words of the song when the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies, from the hand of Saul. He said, "The Lord is my rock, my fortress, my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation. He is my stronghold, my refuge, and my Savior. From violent men you save me, because of the Lord, who is worthy of praise. And I am saved from my enemies. The waves of death roll around me. Horses of destruction overwhelmed me. Because the grave coiled around me, the snares of death confronted me. In my distress, I called to the Lord. I called out to my God. From his temple, he heard my voice. My cry came to his ears. The earth trembled and quaked. The foundation of the heavens tripped. They trembled because he was angry. Smoke rose from his nostrils, consuming fire from his mouth. Burning coals blazed out of it. He parted the heavens and came down. Dark clouds were under his feet. He mounted the cherubim and flew. He soared on the wings of the wind. He made darkness his canopy around him. The dark rain clouds the sky. Out of the brightness of his presence, bolts of lightning blazed forth. The Lord's thundered from heaven. The voice of the Most High resounded. He shot arrows and scattered the enemies, bolts of lightning, and routed them. The valleys of the sea were exposed. The foundation of the earth lay bare at the stroke of the Lord, at the blast of breath from his nostrils. He reached down from on high and took hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters. He rescued me from my powerful enemy, from my foes who were too strong for me. So they confronted me in the day of his disaster, but the Lord was my support. He brought me out into a spacious place, rescued me because he delighted in me. The Lord has dealt with me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands. He has rewarded me, for I have kept the ways of the Lord. I have not done evil by turning from my God. All his laws are before me. I have not turned away from his decrees. I have been blameless before him and have kept myself from sin. The Lord has rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness in his sight. To the faithful, you show yourself faithful. To blameless. To the blameless, you show yourself blameless. To the pure, you show yourself pure. To the crooked, you show yourself shrewd. You save the humble, but your eyes are on the haughty, to bring them low. You are my lamp, O Lord. The Lord turns my darkness into light. Get help. I am it. I get the truth. With my God, I can scale a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is faultless. He is a shield for all who take refuge in him. But who is God besides the Lord? Who is the rock except our God? This God who arms me with strength and makes my way perfect. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to stand on the heights. He trains my hands for battle. My arms can bend a bow of bronze. You give me the shield of victory. Stoop down to make me great. You broaden the path beneath me so that my ankles do not turn. I pursue my enemies and crush them. I do not turn back until they were destroyed. I crushed them completely. They cannot rise. They fell beneath my feet. You armed me with strength for battle. You made my adversaries bow at my feet. You made me enemies turn their backs in flight. And I destroyed my foes. They cried for help, but there was no one to save them. To the Lord, but he did not answer. I beat them as fine as the dust of the earth. I pounded and trampled them like blood in the streets. You have delivered me from the attacks of my people. You have preserved me as the head of nations. People I did not know are children to me, and the foreigners come cringing to me. As soon as they hear me and obey me, and lose heart. They came trembling from their strongholds. The Lord lives. Praise be to my rock. Exalted to be God, the rock, my salvation. He is the God who avenges me, who puts the nations under me, who sets me free from my enemies, and exalted me above my foes. From violent men you rescued me. Therefore I will praise you, O Lord, among the nations. I will sing praise to your name. And he gives his king great victories. He shows unfailing kindness to his anointed, to David and his descendants forever. Now we're going to talk about the way of life and break this down. Well, I just read, God designed humankind to live a certain way. And God's way is perfect. God's also the source of strength that enables his children to live that way. David said, it's God who arms me with strength, makes my way perfect. So the mind of the Jewish believer was so ingrained with their concept that it was said the early church believes that they belonged to the way, and they knew that Jesus was that only way. Non-believers struggle with the Christian notion that there's only one way to God. However, every object is intended to function according to the way it was designed. The computer can perform incredible calculations and be of tremendous service to mankind only if it is used properly. A tractor can pull a heavy load only if it is driven correctly. Every believer will be tempted sometime in his or her life to live another way, to live in his or her own strength. It's the nature of pride and a fatal flaw of human reason to think that we know what is best for our own lives and that we don't need the help of God or others. But we are so tempted to question God's wisdom and creating us the way we are and for not giving us more favorable circumstances in which to live. Yet we know God's ways are perfect. But who are you, O man? Talk back to God. Shall we, what is formed, say to him who formed it? Why did you make me like this? Does not the potter have the right to make out of the same lump of clay some pottery for noble purposes and some for common use? It's from Romans chapter 9, verse 20 21. Does the clay say to the potter, what are you making? Isaiah chapter 45, verse 9. The key to successful living is to know God and learn his ways, and then live accordingly by faith in the power of the Holy Spirit. That is why Scripture permits us to boast in only one thing. Let not the wise man boast of the wisdom, his wisdom, or the strong man boast of his strength, or the rich man boast of his riches, but let him boast about this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord, who exercises kindness, justice, and righteousness on earth. For in these I delight, declares the Lord. We can only fulfill our purpose if we are dependent upon God for our strength and learn to live in a manner that is consistent with how we were designed. All right, so I'm going to be in week 2, on tomorrow. The Fall of Humanity, chapter 3. So I'm going to get into chapter 11. When March went mad, game that transformed basketball. The Michigan State players had left the Indiana State DePaul game at that time, so by the time Skidmore was wrapped up the win, Spartans were resting comfortably in their hotel rooms out by the airport. Skidmore, on the other hand, didn't return to the hotel Utah until late that night. The place was so teeming with revelers that with fire rushers had to hold people out. Bird retired to his room, hung out with a few of his good friends. Then he caught power from French Lit. It was like he left everything on the floor with the declaration in the lobby in the Michigan State band playing until the wee hours of the morning. There wouldn't be much sleep for the Bird and his teammates that night. I just woke Bird up at 9 a.m. Sunday morning because they were supposed to attend a brunch of honor of Bird having won the Eastman Award for National Player of the Year. Bird was supposed to get asked as if he could stay in bed. Some reports at the brunch would take when Bird didn't show up. Billy Packer stepped up to his defense on this one. Hey, how many times do you want to get the award anyway? He went to New York 2 weeks ago to see the same award. He's going to the NABC maker tonight to get the award for the third time. 2 out of 3 isn't too bad. That's playing for the national championship. Later that morning, Indiana State held a closed practice at the Special Events Center. Players were in their usual great spirits after the workout. They waited patiently while Bob Forbes, the radio play-by-play man, conducted interviews with the players for Terry Hope TV station. They grabbed Forbes, lifted him up, dumped him into the trash can as the cameras kept rolling. Spartans Meanwhile, I had gathered in the hallway to get ready to begin their own practice. As the Sycamores bounded past their Monday night opponents, they chanted and sang out boldly. They weren't wrong for doing that, but we took it as a sign of disrespect. That was something we could use. We figured, okay, we fired up even more now. We'll get them tomorrow. As the Indiana State players filed past, Evan Johnson approached they were to say hello. They hadn't spoken since they were together in the U.S. team that played at the World Invitational Tournament the previous summer. As Johnson walked toward him, Bird took one look at him and kept right on walking. Magic was stunned and really blank. So that's how it is, huh? He said to his teammates, okay then, if that's how he wants it, that's fine with me. Even a day later, when we were driving back to the hotel, we were still talking about how Bird would treat him. He kept saying, okay, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Irvin was a happy-go-lucky type of guy, but Bird was not trying to be his friend. He looked at Irvin as the enemy. East Coast's main objective at Michigan State's practice was naturally to teach players how to defend Bird. He and his assistant had seen the Sycamores play for the first time the previous night, and they devised a game plan. The Seacoast puts it by the seat of our pants. For most of the season, the United States opposing coaches had fallen in two camps. The first was the Dick for Safe camp, do whatever it takes to stop Bird when double and triple teams and make the other guy beat you. The other was the Ray Meyer camp. Let Bird have his points and prevent his teammates from going off. Heathcote decided neither approach would do. He could see Bird was too good for single coverage. Yet his team overplayed Bird too much. Yet if his team overplayed Bird too much, he would kill the Spartans with his passing. Fortunately, Heathcote's innovative matchup zone was well suited for pulling off such a hybrid strategy. All season long, he had added adjustments and tweaks designed to collar an opponent's best player. Now he and his staff came up with a 4-point plan to keep a man and a half on Bird at all times. Point one, to dictate that whoever was close to Bird when he had the ball would guard him straight up. Point two was that as soon as Bird put the ball on the floor, he would be double teamed. Point three was that the Spartans were not to go for Bird's pass fakes. Point four was to keep Bird off the offensive glass because the zone had been created to give players the ability to track the ball and shift into passing lanes. Heathcote was confident that his players would be able to recover. Locked down Bird's teammates, they stayed alert, communicated well. It was a clever strategy, but besides the limited time he had to admit it, there was the larger challenge of simulating Larry Bird in practice. Bird was, after all, a player with unusual dimensions and gifts. Where in the world could Heathcote find someone who was as big as Bird, yet who also possessed the ball skills and the court sense to mimic what he did? The answer, of course, was in his own locker room. Irvin, you're going to play Bird on our scout team. Magic couldn't flip off his practice jersey fast enough. He had always worn green with the starting five, yet now he was turning himself white, literally and figuratively, joining the second team. I wish I'd never done that before, but clearly Irvin was the opportunity. It's fun to be on the scouting team. You could do what you want because you weren't yourself. As the workout got underway, Magic went into his Larry Bird's invitation, set himself on the block. When the zone shifted his way, he zipped the ball to open teammates. He crashed the boards and handled the ball on the perimeter. Most remarkably of all, he hit shots from outside. He made all kinds of shots from all over the floor. Squeezcoat kept pushing the zone farther and further out, but it didn't matter. Everything Johnson threw up went in. Finally, Heathcote started to get angry. But it didn't matter. Magic, who was supposed to be a suspect outside shooter, drove shot after shot, all the while boasting to his teammates. Guard me, I'm like Bird. I can't be stopped. He was having the time of his life. When the practice was over, he could only wonder whether his players had properly digested his 4-point plan. One thing, though, certain, whatever Bird had in store for him Monday night, the Spartans were not going to see it. A better performance than the one Magic Johnson had just delivered. Trey McKee helped expect to be stood up as he sat in a rental car outside the hotel Utah Sunday afternoon. The student assistant in the Indiana State Sports Information Office had drawn short straw assigned to escort Larry Bird's the big pregame press conference being held for players and coaches at Salt Lake City Hilton. Bird was waiting for him outside the Hotel Utah just as he said he would. As the two of them rode over the city, Bird said about quietly, "This sure is a pretty sound. Kid McKee thought you had no idea the sight you were going to see." There were some 400 members of the media waiting for Bird at the Hilton. At this point, the vast majority of them had seen the person only once, and aside from the brief interaction they had with him last Saturday night, had barely heard him speak. We all wondered if he could put a sentence together, Nick Enver says. Rod dressed casually in a white Adidas warm-up jacket and blue jeans when he took his seat at his front of the room. Someone asked, "How's your thumb?" Broke, Larry deadpan. The room busted out in laughter. For the next 45 minutes, Larry proved to be everything Boys had assumed he wasn't. He was smart, he was charming, he was funny, so articulate, albeit not so grammatically correct. He was even happy to be there. Though when someone suggested he was himself, he replied, "That's what you think." Bird parried the reporter's questions with humor and candor. People who have seen you play in person think you're better than when they saw you on television, so they know what they're talking about. "What do you remember about playing with Johnson last summer?" "It's a ball to me. You seem to have a great feeling for passing." "My feeling about passing is that it don't matter who's doing it, when as long as it's us. I just think when he should get the ball, whether it's 30 feet out on the wing, underneath. We had guys last year who didn't care about passing. They thought scoring was more important, but passing is more important. Irvin Johnson looks like he's having fun on the court, but you don't. He's probably laughing at the corners, but you can't have fun. It's tied with 2 seconds to go. They got the ball. If you got complete lead, it's different, but I got to do what I do. I can't be laughing out there. Irvin's different. I just hope he's not laughing at me. Why you have avoided injuries all season? We got 7 guys who can play. They deserve to be talked to too. They got so it was taking up 2 or 3 hours a day. So I decided not to do interviews. For all you was paying me, I enjoy it, but I know that's coming. I don't know. I don't mind interviews. I can handle if it's all about me. I don't like it when it's about my family. So what changed your mind about doing the instant interview? Everybody wants publicity. I just thought the other guys on the team weren't getting it, but now they are. So it's time to come back. You didn't expect to be here. You didn't expect to be here. Did you expect us to be here? For the most part, the reviews were positive. Billy Reed of the Louisville Courier Journal says that if the basketball thing didn't work out for Bird, he'd be the hit TV comedy Hee Haw. Dave Anderson of the New York Times described him as a hayseed of humor, a Herbert Schreiner jump shot. The state journalist Lynn Henning thought he came off as crude. For Fitch Lit, thing was an understatement. He showed his droll sense of humor that afternoon. To me, it's still one of the best press conferences he had. His inner stuff came out. There was nothing mixed about the reviews from Matt Johnson's Sunday press conference. The person so obviously enjoys being somewhere. People who are with him can't help but be seduced. I love it. I love it. I love all this attention. You got the question, I got the answers. Being in the Final Four to get all the attention, to have your name was in the country, you thought I love it. All the parents from California to Germany know about it. On the way over to Hilton, Heathcote had sternly warned Yoster and Johnson not to say anything inflammatory, especially about Bird. Johnson was more than happy to heed that order. When someone asked him who was the best player in college basketball, he didn't hesitate like Bird. I'm a fan of basketball and a fan of like Bird, but I just have to make sure. Caught looking at him too much, I guess I could say there's 2 of the best passers in the game in this matchup. It's what the whole world wants. Everyone wants to see the Magic Man against the Birdman. It'll be something else. It will be a wild party. Some of the writers tried to criticize Bird for not being as good as Magic, but Johnson came to his defense. He comes from a different background than I do. Can't knock him because he doesn't look like attention. The narrative was set. This was not a championship game between Michigan State and Indiana State. It was Magic against Bird, the best mid-man matchup in NCAA finals since Bill Russell led University of San Francisco to a win over Tom Gobles LaSalle University 55. Cover your headlines characterize it that way. Bring on Bird. Bird takes on the Magic Man. Brace yourselves for the Magic matchup. Bird versus Magic. These mile things always appeal to sports fans. Dan O'Malley, the former president of NBC Sports. Magic and Bird were such attractive characters they could just capture people's imagination. Before Johnson and Bird left the Hilton, they briefly sat together for private conference. Occasions marked the first time the 2 of them had been photographed just by themselves. One picture was transmitted across the Associated Press wire, and it's to be published in almost every sports session in America on Monday morning. It was a striking image, Magic smile beamed from ear to ear. There was nowhere on earth he'd rather be. I leaned toward Magic awkwardly and preferred half a smile. They were both big men who were skilled fastest and steadfast competitors. They both even wore the number 33. Yet that photograph told a broader story, quite literally in black and white. All their similarities, the two guys could not have been more different. Sunday and Monday really dragged by Ryan. The anticipation for that game was electrifying. It was a Nashville unlike any other I've been to, and I've been to more than 25 of them. But NBC was certainly ready. As per Don, my instructions, Don had put together a pregame package on Magic and Bird was a highlight reel that was going to run at halftime under to the song Magic to Do from that Broadway musical Pippin. To put together those segments, McGuire watched Howard some footage from the entire series. At that point, he had seen more of both Rashad Bird than anybody on the planet. It was like looking at a great piece of art, just play after play. It was just shooting, it was passing and dribbling. The beauty of the way these guys played each really captivated people. Just hadn't seen anything like it before. Terry Downey's condition remained a concern from Michigan State. The bruise he had suffered on his lower back from the wind or pin, severe enough to keep him out of practice on Sunday. Kent Thompson, the team's trainer, gave Downey a chemical application called DMSO that was supposed to help mask his pain. Jay Vincent was limited by his broken right foot, decided to take a painkiller injection before the game. Both teams conducted their standard game day shoot-rounds on Monday, March 26th. But as the hours passed before they headed over to the arena to develop a severe case of butterflies, it was just going by so slow. It was a snail pace. You know where you are, what you're going to accomplish as a group, and you're almost there. With every passing half hour, the nerves would just grow and grow. I think some nervousness is always good before a game, but this was quite unusual. So much that I wondered if nature would take over. Kelsey didn't tell anyone how he was feeling. If Magic was feeling as nervous as Kelsey was, he did some job of hiding it. In the other locker room, Larry Bird was not projecting the same type of swag. Larry said. Larry told me that this was going to be our toughest game of the year. He thought we could win. There's no doubt, but he knew we had met that gave us the biggest matchup problems. Let's get into it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Special Events Center on the campus of the University of Utah, Salt Lake City. I'm Brian Gumble. The fans here are going bananas. I actually think there's a doubleheader going on tonight. We do have one game. It's Indiana State against Michigan State. I say it's a doubleheader because there's a game within a game. I think Indiana State, Michigan State, you've got a big-time powerhouse against the unlikely dream of a school and a star that has come through 33 perfect outings. The game within a game. Well, you have to live under the rock to have not heard about Johnson or Larry Bird. How good are they? Let's put it this way. They energize the entire floor. They not only compliment all the people on their teams, they do in fact make their teams. Gumble couldn't quite declare that the events about to unfold in Salt Lake City would be the most important thing that happened in the world that day. A few hours before tip-off, Middle East peace agreement had been signed at the White House by President Jimmy Carter, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat, Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin. Still, in a sporting context, at least it was going to be a historic occasion. As Gumble spoke over a reel of Bird's highlights, he said, "Haven't seen Bird, you're in for a treat." That statement spoke to the limited national exposure called Rush basketball. The Bird in particular had enjoyed at that point, but also the score why the matchup would have such a lasting impact on the nation. Consciousness for many of the millions watching at home, this was their just like Bird, Magic Johnson, so they were in for a treat. There were, of course, going to be other players on the court. Gumble, Dick and Bird, Billy Packer, and Al McGuire talked about them pregame segment as well. When Matt Packer mentioned Carl Nicks and received flash a picture taken at that Wings shoot around of Packer standing next to State's regard. The photo was hilarious and showed what Packer could be. Nix was wearing a T-shirt with the words "I'm with stupid." Now the finger underneath was pointed right at a smiling Packer. Like just about everybody else in Salt Lake City, Packer and McGuire picked Michigan State to win the game. So did Ray Meyer, whose DePaul Blue Demons had defeated Penn time in the just completed race game. Bird is one of the superstars of the game, but they have one Indiana State. State has two. So if they start the run with Michigan State will bury them. Fortunately for Michigan State, Gary Kelsey's nerves settled down. Time for the tip-off. As the game got underway, he relaxed further. He was able to take the pressure. The was at close range. He felt the same rush of confidence he experienced in the first few minutes of the Spartans' regional final win over Notre Dame. I knew as a team we were better than they were. I even began to think to myself we had probably two or three teams in the Big Ten that was better. Just one no one in our conference had that stature. Kelsey was also surprised at the to see that Bird had been inside the guard him. Bird was much stronger than Kelsey and was 2 or 3 inches taller. He was also much slower. There was no way that he could stay with Kelsey 18 feet from the basket. In the Michigan State second possession, Kelsey easily slipped by Bird. Joe cut took the pass from Magic Johnson, but drawing for a layup, he led fed Ryan Charles for easy dunk. It was as if after player Magic Johnson for 2 years, Kelsey wanted to imitate him. In the next few minutes, Kelsey continued to exploit the matchup. He got two more assists and drew by Bird for a layup that gave the Spurs an early 11-8 lead. Meanwhile, at the other end of the floor, East Coast man and a half game player was working briefly. Ever Bird cut across the lane, Charles was stationed in the back middle of the zone, stepped forward and bumped him. When Bird caught the ball and bring the guard on the top of the zone, pitched over to help out his baseline teammates. Whenever Bird set up the post, he had someone positioned directly in front and behind him. And when he did get the ball, it was difficult for him to find open because the Spartans went and running with them. It's what have had been playing man to man. He saw Bird had faced all kinds of jump defenses defend on his 3 years in college. He had almost found a way to dominate that he was doing so in this game. All he probably attributed to Michigan State's struggle. Bird was tired, he was frustrated, he was just playing off his game. Bird picked up a second foul when he charged into because of the 7 minutes to play in the first half. At that point, he had made just 3 baskets. They finally so as far as steadily built a 9 point lead, the zone choking off Indiana State's offense, they finally unspooled their first successive LU that put them up 34-23 with 5 minutes left first half. Upon seeing that play, he sat on the bench and said out to himself, man, nobody has done that to us all year. Michigan State was in control, but the game took a turn when Johnson picked up his third foul minute and had to lead the game. Instead, had Charlestown take advantage of the rest of the half, but with just 14 seconds remaining, Bird grabbed the defensive rebound, lightly chipped it into Kelsey's pack. Kelsey tried to avoid the collision, but he made just enough to prevent Bird to the floor. It was not obvious foul, but Bird had forced the official whistle Kelsey for his third personal. The guard had all the tricks, his strength, his weight, awareness, his feel, all the little nuances and savvy things that made up for the lack of foot speed. And though he didn't strip the ball as well as he would have liked to that night, he was still by far the best player we played against. Normally automatic from the foul, and Bird sank only one of his 2 attempts. It was a fitting way to end the subpar first half, which he had shot 4 for 11, or scored 11 points as a team, which the NSA had shot 37.9%. Michigan State had shot 62.2% and had made just 6 of 11 from the free throw line. I think we were pretty pleased just being down by 9 per se years later, but we weren't playing well. I didn't hit many shots the first half. We knew we had to get back and stop the break, but we felt we had a good shot at winning. But Bird may have been the only one on the team so pleased at halftime. The NFC had faced deficits before. Recently, he went and trailed Arkansas by 2 points on the Midwest regional final. However, this situation was different. We were down against Arkansas at halftime. We were thinking it's not a big deal. We haven't put up our press on. We're fine. But this was something different. An experience before ever we got into that room and it was like, okay, this is not Arkansas. And state locker room was so small that I just had to step into the shower so he could with his assistants. I just told Knicks, who had shot 3 for 8 from the first set four in the first half, that he needs to do a better job penetrating the Spartan zone. And like Spartan locker room, Heath coach says that Indiana State would have to start shifting its defense more toward Johnson, who had 10 points in the first half despite sitting out the last 5 minutes. Someone else besides Kelsey would have to make perimeter shots. He could figure that person should be Terry Donnelly. It seemed like an unconventional choice. Donnelly averaged barely 6 points per game that season. On the floor, Ryan Gilmore was hosting NBC's halftime show, Broadcast College Basketball Report. It was a primitive operation by modern standards. There was no set, no fancy props, no traps at all. Her presence was a blue and white sign with the words Procast on it, and even that was pushed out as the camera zoomed in on Gamble's face, after noting the point totals for Johnson, Kelson, and Bird. Perhaps the biggest story is the third team on the floor. This all calling him very close. Magic Johnson had 3 fouls, Grady Kessler had 3. With Magic back on the floor, Magic State started off the second half, especially as it had begun the first. He had a turnaround jump in the lane to put the Sharks up by 11. Next possession, Johnson put up by Brad Bowley started to drive to the lane, just as high school pitcher Steve Reed cheated toward the to block Martin's pass, leaving Downey wide open as the right wing. Johnson passed to Downey and identified by Ingberg, someone who rarely shoots the flip foot. Two lefties switched at a 17-footer to give Michigan State a 41-28 lead, the largest of the game. Over the next minute, had 2 of his best looks of the night, but both missed them both. He was now 4 for 13 from the floor. In between those attempts, Rogers had hit a free throw to put Michigan State up by 14. First second minutes, he got his own rebound to shoot, but instead of fouling another jumper, he tried to dribble and commit a turnover as he came to the floor and grabbed hold of his ball. I just called timeout to settle down his troops. As the Spartans ran to their huddle, Magic shouted, "We got this." The team traded baskets. Magic against Space's double team threw the ball up to the top. Kelsey was swung it left to Waddle with Dowley switch. He encountered with a jumper from the right corner. Dowley nailed another one from 15 feet. Magic ran up to Dowley, slapped him on the rear. He gave me a lot of confidence. He was used to do that in practice. I like to focus on one guy who was hot and keep going to him. It usually wasn't me, but in that instance, it was. Donnelly's latest basket gave Michigan State a 48-32 lead. It looked like the game was about to turn into another Spartans run already. But just after 15 minutes play, however, Kelsey committed his 4th foul. So Robert F. Coach immediately summoned him to the bench, replacing him with Jaden Vincent. I don't want to hurt the Magic fans, but I think Kelsey is the most important man of the Spartans. Seizing on the opportunity, Hodges decided to put on his full court press, so he could steady the single chip away at the deficit. He drilled a shot from 14 feet to cut the Royals to 14. Now he answered yet again, his 4th to make, and as many shots, but after Heaton sank another bucket, Magic threw an unwise lob past the Mike Workers against the press. The turn of Bird was fouled, giving a chance of trimming the margin to 12. Went 1 for 2 from the foul line. Said Ember, boy, that's not the Ivor who had shot in the state to an old year. Knicks drove the lane, fed lower state for led to bring Indiana State within 50 to 39. He called a timeout. Indiana clearly had the momentum now and continued its run. Bird hit a turnaround jump to make it 50. Magic has the back fouled by Jay Vincent 4th foul. The free throw Bird. Knicks made a steal and bats to bring the signals to within 8. Another turn by Johnson led to a tough layup by Bird. Charles hanging all over. Amazing, Indiana State was now within 6 minutes until still to play. The fans were screaming like mad. As Kelsey sat on the bench and watched the Sycamores make their run, flashbacks to the previous years. Freezing final loss to Kentucky when the Sharks led by 7 second half, but ended up losing by 3. We let things slip away against Kentucky because of our conservativeness. Went to the bench with the 4th foul. We became very conservative. I sat there, not only watched out one get cut off, but now we were in jeopardy of maybe losing the game. That was not easy. I was just definitely excited by the comeback, but he was also concerned. He could see what was also for a brief moment, he considered calling the timeout to give them to catch their breath. Heathcote had seen enough. He sent Kelsey back into the game. Next few minutes, the Spartans were unable to build another big lead, but at least they stopped going again away possessions against the press. The teams traded baskets for their next 3 minutes, with Michigan State holding a 7-point advantage with under minutes to play. Quick Crook sent them into the patented spread. Offense they worked the ball around for almost an entire minute until Kelsey found Johnson at the back door. He shifted over to the charge, or draw the charge. Michigan Warrior was up, dunked badly. The guys on the Michigan State bench were nuts. We were all freaking out. We really couldn't jump. Normally he would have done his custom free world, but the way he was going to score was to dunk. And the guy's mother, that separates him from anybody I've ever been around. This one's had more reasons to celebrate than they immediately realized. Not only did Heaton not only jump, but the referee Hank Nichols called a flagrant foul on Heaton. It was a Johnson walked away from all smiles. Johnson made both free throws to put 61-50 before to play. The game was that much further out of reach. Knicks made 2 free throws to make 61-54. Where rebounded and Reed passed and found the bottom of looking the lane as effort to loft the ball over Phelps' outstretched hand, but overshot it badly. Slammed his hand against his thigh in frustration. Alex Gilbert got the third rebound for Indiana State and was fouled by Charles. But missed for the front end of 1-1 was when would end up 10 for 22 from the foul line of the night. Still had to shoot free throws, Edwards said. Still 15 feet away. And State has not been able to hit their charities. That's the difference in this game. So it's inching their way toward the title, but you couldn't tell it by looking at as he swung on the Michigan State bench his dark green blazer tied in an atrocious pair of green clad pants. The coach looked like a man who was having his prostate examined. As the game into his final minute, Hook could finally allow himself to enjoy what was happening. It did, as far as execute the spread offense with the standard efficiency, made the free throws down the stretch to keep the Sixers at bay. He could finally allow himself to enjoy what was happening, started making his way down the front of his bench, shaking hands. They won on the team. Donnie Payton was the first person he thanked more than anything else. That made me feel good about my relationship with Judd. It was like father being proud of his son for an accomplishment. The seconds taken away, NBC announced Johnson as the game's most valuable player. Put a name on the back of his German uniform, right joy. When Johnson was fouled with 60 seconds remaining, it's like Kelsey held on to Kelsey's hand and put his hand on Kelsey's head. The two saying a few words in their embrace. It was a moving fellowship. The only thing that was left to be decided was the final score. Once again, Johnson and Kelsey had the last say. Rushed down and buried a jumper with 5 seconds remaining to cut the parties to 9. Johnson grabbed the ball as it came through. Shot go, Greg helps it. Instead, he took off for the other basket with his back still turned to the ball, blowing over his left shoulder, and then landed so he took Phelps' hand at mid court, standing between him and the basket. Kelsey ran through a variety of options in his mind for how he was going to dunk. Momentarily considered doing a 360 leap, 360-degree leap. You'd be surprised how quickly these things will flash in your head. So I had to go with something fairly safe, so it just would not have seemed right to miss it. Created the ball in his right hand, through as the clock reached 0. The final score was Michigan State 75, Indiana State 64. Sycamores the previous season had ended imperfectly. The Stars were national champs. Michigan State players and coaches embraced each other and celebrated over the court. Or shook hands with a few of them, including Magic did stuff. Indiana State bench. Don, quiet as NBC producer made his way through the madness and found out, hey, what's up? Said, greeting him like his old friends meeting up at the street corner. As Garner shuffled Magic through the crowd to where Gumbo was positioned the baseline. A moment later, was standing alongside them, taking the free throw from Inglewood. Gumbo said, thank you, Dick. I am with two very, very happy people, Magic and Judd. Magic, not only were you a leader on the offense, I thought you job on Larry Bird in the zone, denying him the ball. Still gasping for air, Johnson coach gave us a good killing to go against Larry Bird, and all we had to do was go out and do it. If we did it, he said we would win. That's what we did. That's what we done. So I know you didn't count on Larry Bird hitting as poorly as he did. Were you surprised they didn't try to force the ball into him more? I think that we had a man and a half on him trying, and it was tough to get it in. I thought maybe they could had gone to him a little more, but I think they worked the ball. Hey, this was a tough game for us. They gave us all we wanted. We just very, very happy to win. I'm gonna end it by asking him if he had just played his last final cards game. I can't really say. As far as I know right now, I'll be back. Anybody's got the rumor I'm leaving, but I haven't said that. Going with John by Bill Hodges, who had just suffered the first loss of his head coach career. I'm staying with very disappointed Bill Hodges. If super season in the worst way for him, you had trouble penetrating the Michigan State zone, didn't you? First of all, Brian, you're wrong. I'm not disappointed. The Lord blessed us with a great year. I'm truly happy with that. I think it's not a matter of how much trouble we had. The zone is just, we had hit our free throws, it would have been a blank of a baseball game. We had better free throw percentage than that during the season. If it had been a tight, we had a chance to win. I think maybe we would have won. But we can't be disappointed. Our guys played out great all year. They never gave up. I don't think they ever will. Because at home had heard from all the principals but one. Governor might have referred to speak with his last before NBC went off the air. But at that moment, the network had something that was worth 1,000 words. A picture beamed to the largest audience in the history of the sport. Of Larry Bird sitting on the Indiana State bench, his face buried in a white towel. Simmons can lead the court until the completion of the board's presentation. You see the second place trophy and individual winners. Bird is facing a cow. Rick, the manager and assistant trainer, knelt in front of him, tried to. The gaggle photographers cried at the prompting assistant coach knelt down to shout, "Can't you give us some privacy?" Bird, Brad Malley came over to Bird and said, "Come on, man, let's get that trophy 3-1. Oh, get up." Once the players retreated to the sanctuary, it was the quietest locker room I've ever been in. Terry Dimmerlower, assistant coach, must a few words about how they should feel proud. They fell on deaf ears. Bird was inconsolable. Not only had he just played and lost his final Clancy game, it was his worst performance of the season. 19.7 to 21 from shooting, 5 of 8 from the free throw line, committed 6 turnovers, and 2 assists was a season low. It was the biggest game of our lives, and it was so close coming from Terry Holt after leaving IU. I'm so glad to bring the championship trophy home to them. It wasn't really the feeling I had about losing the game. It was about all of a sudden my career. I'm done at Indiana State. Had 4 good years there. I enjoyed it, just knowing that it was coming to the end. It was pretty tough at the time. Bird was by rules supposed to attend the post-game press conference, but Emma Key, the Indiana State sports official, knew that wouldn't happen. So that's basically it, man. They won a championship. Ryan Jones had 24.7 rebounds, 5 assists in the victory. Actually, again, whether he was going to enter the NBA draft, Johnson probably still don't know. But this first, then maybe in a couple of weeks, I'll make up my mind. That's it. For that, be in chapter 12 tomorrow. The clues look at Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, when March went mad, the game that transformed basketball. I finished the creation study of being the fall of humanity. Chapter 3, Genesis. Get to that tomorrow. So that's it for today's show. Live feed. Chapter 11 tomorrow. When the March went mad. Chapter 12, chapter 12. That'll be it. So that's it for tonight. Meets for this morning. Like, subscribe to the channel. Till then, talk to you tomorrow.